just let me say another few words. Thank you very much, Christos, and nice to see the other Christos again. Welcome and thanks for joining. So I will just say a few introductory words and then turn over to Martina and Maria. You pointed to the most important things already. So in Cologne, we are extremely thankful to Robert Feind, whom you introduced as one of the collectors of Byzantine seals in Germany, who owns, as far as I know, the biggest collection of Byzantine seals right now, and who gave us the right to the permission to work with his collection, both in the seminar that I mentioned before already, and to work with his collection with the aim to publish it. And Martina will talk about this in her paper. His collection will be one of the first collections which will be published digitally. So in a combination of traditional sigillographic methodology and the means and possibilities offered by the digital humanities. Robert Feind's collection counts something like 1,700 seals so far. About 30 of them have been published by Robert Feind in an introduction to Byzantine Sigillography, which he has published some in 2000, when did he publish this? 2010, more than 10 years ago. And the bigger part of his collection is still unexplored, and we are working on this collection together with the students in this seminar, which is running since 2015. It's a practice-oriented research seminar, a hands-on seminar, where students, not only from Byzantine studies, but also neighboring fields like medieval history, Islamic history, classics, archaeology, learn to read seals, to decipher them, to date them, to contextualize them, and get introduced into the main sigillographic corpora, into the main sigillographic methodological tools, etc., etc. So for the treatment and presentation of the Robert Feind collection, we have decided to use and to explore the possibilities offered by the digital humanities in terms of applying tools that Martina is going to talk about in a few minutes, which is called SIGIDoc, an XML-based and TEI-compliant encoding standard, which allows for the digital edition of seals and coin-like objects. And apart on working on developing this tool together with international colleagues whom Martina is going to introduce, we are also working on imaging technologies, specifically on what is called the reflectance transformation imaging, RTI. This will be the subject of Maria's presentation, and it offers valuable, extreme valuable possibilities to explore the surface of three-dimensional objects like seals, and you will see the results which are offered by RTI in a few minutes. So I give the ground to my colleagues. Martina is going to talk first, and she's going to introduce SIGIDoc, and the second part of the paper will be delivered by Maria on RTI, the reflectance transformation imaging. So I mute my microphone and turn over to Martina and Maria.
Cool. Thank you so much. Και ευχαριστώ πάρα πολύ, Χρήστο, που μας κάλεσες. So I shall share my screen and wait, it froze. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we hear you.
Yeah, because you're all frozen on my laptop. Just wait 1 second. Okay, now, cool.
Great.
Okay, now I can see and hear you all. Great. So we will talk, as Claudia said, first about Sigiloc, and then we will explore the imaging technologies that we are working with in Cologne. But let's start with encoding standards. And as you see, my presentation has a subtitle, an encoding standard for Byzantine seals and more. So I mean, not only Byzantine seals. So first of all, I always have a slide about what a Byzantine seal is, but I think that we can like skip to something more, less sigillographic, since we actually pretty much know what a seal is. But why is it important to underline what is a Byzantine seal? Because as we will see in the next 20 to 25 minutes, the encoding standard that we are using is based on another encoding standard, so on another semantic markup, which has been optimized for inscriptions, and it is very important to keep this in mind. So first of all, why do we need a standard? Anyhow, so why do we need a standard? Isn't it enough to have a paper publication, just as we have always done? So we do have, and we all have to take this as a fact, I would say. We have a couple of shortcomings in Byzantine sigillography, and by shortcomings, I mean things that could be improved. So we do have different print edition standards, and we have, which causes inconsistency in cross-referencing of information. We have a lot of unpublished material, and the unpublished material in Byzantine sigillography greatly exceeds the material which is published, and we know that it is pretty much, restricted access, as most of the collections are held by either, public institutions such as archives, libraries, or we do have private collections, and we also have the big gray zone of the auction houses. Then we have a shortcoming in terms of publications, because we have very much scattered publications, and last but not least, we have lack of training. And this is quite funny to say there's lack of training during a lecture which is held by a sigillography seminar, but as far as I know, there are no many regular sigillographic seminars in universities, worldwide. And I will not go on a limb here, but I would say that Ioannina and Cologne are the only two, or two of the very, very few of them. So by the very definition of standard, and of standard in a digital way, what do we mean? We mean exactly this definition that I wrote out here. A standard is a shared, sustainable, and repeatable way of doing something, no matter what, which materializes in guidelines and recommendations which are aimed at getting consistency, reliability, compatibility, and interoperability. So it doesn't matter what you're doing, as long as we're using a standard, we are ensuring that what we are producing will outlive us, will always be reused by others, will always be, will always be consistent, will always be repeatable by others. And by standard, I do not mean a digital standard, I mean a standard in general. But now let's go deeper into a digital standard. I would like to say a few words about how Sigidoc came to be, pretty much. And Sigidoc is, we will talk later about, I mean, more precisely about what Sigidoc is, but let's do a bit of chrono history before. So it's not something that came out of the blue. As you will see, as you see from this timeline, there were already talks at the International Congress of Byzantine Studies in 2006 in London. There were the first talks about the possibility of a digital approach to Byzantine sigillography. These talks went on in 2010, 2011 in various meetings, mostly held at Jim Burton Oaks and at King's, where, I mean, sigilographers kept on discussing on a possible digital turn in Byzantine sigillography. But I mean, the real turn happened actually in 2015 when Alessio Sopracasa, whom I will say a couple of words about later, took up a Marie Curie fellowship at King's College London and started actively working on DigiSeal, which then became Sigidoc. I mean, 2 years later, when the fellowship of our colleague was already had already ended, that's when we pretty much came into the game, and we joined Alessio in research and development on Sigidoc. But last but not least now, so 2020, 2021, Sigidoc 1.0 is about to be released together with a customized version of FS. This might sound very strange and funky words, but now we will see what this all is about. So Sigidoc. Sigidoc is an XML-based and TI-compliant encoding standard for the digital scholarly edition of Byzantine seals and the digitally enhanced conversion of paper-published editions. So this is the definition that we gave to Sigidoc, but let's break it down and see what this all means. So XML-based. XML-based means, I don't know to which extent you all are familiar with X technologies or XML, but XML is the short for extensible markup language and is a markup language, so a language used for semantic markup that is highly reliable, highly consistent, and ensures for
να εκτυπώσουμε.
I think that it's better that everyone like mutes themselves, because otherwise it conflicts with the person speaking. Okay. Yes, I was saying XML. It's a markup language, a semantic markup language, with which we are saying to the machine what we want a word to mean or to refer to, but we will see this later. TI compliant. So TI is short for Text Encoding Initiative and is a subset, let's say, of this XML language. So TI is XML. That is optimized for the scholarly edition of manuscripts. So it started out with philology and manuscript studies, and it has been expanding over every possible field in the humanities. Yes, and then to encoding standard. So we already saw what a standard is, but an encoding standard is a digital standard optimized on a machine readable language. And that's what XML and TI are. So Sigidoc is a standard written for Byzantine seals and for other coin-like objects, which is based on XML and which is compatible with TI. So everything that is Sigidoc is actually also TI, but not everything which is TI is also Sigidoc. I don't know if I made it clear, but we will see in a couple minutes what this is all about. And it would be great if I could go to the next slide, but apparently I can't. Okay, so yeah, so Sigidoc genealogy. Sigidoc, as I was saying, is a son of TI, or better, is a daughter. Sigidoc is a woman, and it's a subset. This is the right term. Is a subset of TI and has been very much influenced by Epidoc. So we could also say that it is a subset of Epidoc. Epidoc, I don't know if you're familiar with this. Epidoc is short for epigraphic documentation, and is the first pure, clean subset of TI for epigraphic documents in TI XML. So Epidoc is, was born in the in 20 years ago, pretty much, and it is now the most robust standard for the encoding of inscriptions and other epigraphic documents, such as wall paintings, graffiti, but also papyri. It has expanded to papyri and ostraca, and you name it. And in 2017-18, also FS came into play, and this has facilitated very much the birth of Sigidoc, because FS, as you see here on the slide, is Epidoc Fronted Services, and is a platform for the online publication of texts in Epidoc XML, but also in Sigidoc XML, and is pretty much the skeleton of what I will show you in a couple of minutes. So just to answer a very common question that we get, not only during presentations, but also, when people hear that we are working on Sigidoc, they tell us, "Oh, cool! So you're dating a seal database?" No, we're not doing a seal database. This is not a seal database whatsoever. Sigidoc is actually what we need in order to create a digital scholarly edition of Byzantine-led seals. You don't have to think that we are doing a database. You have to think of it in terms of edition. So pretty much it's not different in any way from how you would do a paper publication, a paper published edition, scholarly edition of Byzantine seals. It's just digital. It's just machine readable and not human readable, and it's digital. But it doesn't differ in any way from a standard paper publication. Of course it differs, but not in the way you are telling to the machine what you need and what you want to be clear in your edition. Okay, let's go a little into technicalities, and let's say what Sigidoc is made of. Sigidoc is made of a schema, which is highly compatible with the Epidoc and TI, all schemas. A schema is a set of rules that you tell to the machine in order that the machine understands what you want it to say, because we have to think that machines are dumb and you have to tell them what you want them to understand. Then we do have a template, which is Sigidoc's edition structure, which we will see in a couple of minutes. Then we have a XSLT style sheet, which is for the transformation of the XML files, of the Sigidoc XML files into HTML. So for the creation of the website, pretty much. Then we have a highly customized version of FS, which is, as I said, the skeleton of the website, and we are putting, muscles. We are putting, pieces of flesh in order to populate this skeleton. Then we have very, very important a set of encoding guidelines, and also a set of files which are intended to be shared among all Sigidoc projects, and we shall see them in a couple of minutes. But I would like to stress the point of guidelines. So if you are not, it doesn't need for you to be familiar with XML, with TI, with nothing pretty much, in order to use Sigidoc. Everything is documented, everything is thoroughly documented, thoroughly thought out, and thoroughly modelized. And yes, you just need to check you just need to check the guidelines if you have doubts. I don't want to to oversimplify, but also when you are submitting a paper to a journal, you have to check some guidelines, right? So just think it in this way. These are guidelines that tell you how to encode your edition, and everything else will be taken care of for you by the style sheets, by the template, and so on. So I don't know if I have time. I will just make a couple of remarks, and we shall see the metadata at the very beginning. And this seems like a lot of tags now. This is the structure of the metadata, and I will just go over it very quickly because I would prefer to show it to you in its final output. This is the structure of the text. As you see here, we have a body of the text, and the body consists of several divs, so several divisions, and every division is a part of what we would need for a edition. So we have the div type edition, so the edition which is either interpretive or diplomatic. So we have both editions, of course, because we are actually doing a scholarly edition of a Byzantine Lazio. Then we have the apparatus, then we have the translation, text and translation, then we have the commentary, then we have footnotes and bibliography. So as you see, it does not differ in, I would say, any way from a printed edition, just it is enhanced. Yes, this is actually a very nice graph that we did to show how to go from the seal to the final output. So we have to go through the template, and from the seal through the template, we get to the output on the website. So our goal with Sigidoc is pretty much to create a sigillographic search engine. And how do we do that? Once it will be launched, which will be a spoiler alert in autumn of this year, it is planned. Once Sigidoc 1.0 will be launched, every project which will encode their collection or collections or publication, already published collections in Sigidoc, will then will be separated, of course, from one another. If in Iωannina you're encoding something, and in Cologne we're encoding something else, and in Paris they're encoding something else too, we will all work separately, and our outcomes will be merged into one unified search platform. And that's how the so-called sigillographic search engine will come to be. Just a quick note about the contributors that have already accepted to give Sigidoc a try and to encode their collection, or want to highlight this, or their published publication, I mean their paper publication in Sigidoc, and you see them on this map. We have very interesting case studies in this map. So as I was saying, there will be a synergy among different corpora, and the contributors will work individually on the same authoring environment and share their achievements, which will then populate the search platform. So we have a couple of deadlines upcoming, and we have the release of Sigidoc 1.0 in autumn 2021. Of course, we were, as everything else worldwide, we were like backed down a little bit by the pandemic, but it's coming. It's coming, and the release will be, I mean, the release package, let's call it like that, will comprise the source code, will comprise the guidelines, and also a publication of a test corpus of circa 40 Byzantine seals on this site that you see here on the slide, which is for now empty, but will be populated by autumn 2021, which is actually a digitally enhanced version of a paper published article. And for those who, I mean, I'm sure you have read it, and it's the article by Alessio Sopracasa and Viviane Préjean in the Mélange Chenet in 2017 or 16, I do not remember. So we will see it in a couple of minutes. So, and that's why I was like highlighting and underlining very much that it's not only for unpublished collections, because I mean, we have the great honor and privilege to work with a mostly unpublished collection in Cologne, but it's not, it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be. So let me just walk you through, wait, I would like to make it shorter. Cool. Let me just walk you through the output that we have. And as you can see, I mean, there is little to no web design to this, because this is the output that FS, this Epidoc front-end services that I mentioned before, gives you. And I mean, this is not the, I mean, output is not the most important thing here. The most important thing is to have your data modelized in a clear way, in a consistent way, which can be then reproduced and reused in 5, 10, 20, 50 years. Even when softwares will be able to do much more than they are able to do now. So this is, as I was saying, the output that FS does, FS gives you. Let's just go to the most important features, which I did not explain before, because I think it's more effective to show you in their final way in the output. So we have, of course, a list of seals, I mean, the seals that we encoded. And you see here, it is, they are all the, they will come from the publication that I mentioned before in the Travaux de Mémoire. Let's open a random seal. Let's open seal this one, which is actually already open, but let's go from here. You see, very nice, the big title. Then we have a first section, which is about the artifact itself. And we have all of this metadata that we may or may not use. You have to understand that what we mean here by guidelines and recommendations are to be regarded as such. So there's no must. They are recommendation, and if you want to skip the general layout because you're not interested in it, you can skip it. If you are not interested in giving the access of the seal, more welcome not to do so. So they are recommendation, and as I was saying, they are to be regarded as such. We have then within the artifact, we have the physical description, and we have a number of fields that you may or may not fill in. Then we have dating and dating criteria. Then we have the history, and which comprises, of course, a lot of fields that in most cases we won't be able to fill in. Then we have the inscribed field obverse and reverse. So we go more into detail on obverse and reverse. And then we have publications, editions, parallels, and everything. As you can see here, for example, we have links to the bibliographic concordances. We have, of course, very important, nice images that give you the possibility of examine the seal just like the editors did. And I think it's fair. And it's a point of fairness, I mean, regarding digital editions, because we know how not cost effective is to publish good plates in good quality. And yes, and I mean, plates that allows the user, allows the reader to have a good grasp of what also the editor is having. So we have the most important thing here, the edition, which is interpretive and diplomatic. And diplomatic is, of course, it goes without saying, in Athena Ruby. Legend and translation, and we insist on putting a translation in order to open sigillography also to people who are not acquainted with Greek. And then a commentary. In this case, we have a quite slight commentary, but since this is the digital enhancement of a paper publication, there are also, you know, things with very long commentary, and also footnotes. And again, if you click on the footnote, you get redirected to the bibliographic concordances, and since we're at it, we can also open them. We have here a very comprehensive bibliography about sigillography, and I mean, not only sigillography, but also sources and everything that we might need for our needs, so for our publication. But I didn't get to the juicy part yet, and I will do so in 2 minutes so that I can leave the floor to Maria. We have indices, which is the best, which is actually the best thing about using a platform like FS. It gives you automatic indices. So as you can see, there's no web design, so don't be fooled by the skim appearance. But let's open, for example, the dignities, and we have here all the dignities that we here there's a glitch, all the dignities that we have tagged into our publication, into our seals. And if you want to see where the Kuropalatissa is, you just need to click on the link that is given to you, and it will redirect you automatically to the seal of the Kuropalatissa. Last but not least, and sorry, you have, as I was showing you, a whole bunch of indices, and also in this case, it's not a must. This is a recommendation. You can also add more indices or subtract indices if you're not interested in tagging Marian terms. But this is everything that's, I mean, this is the most, I mean, the broadest option of what you can do. And very last thing, there's, of course, the search engine. You can either have a string search, so you want to search, I don't know, George, and you can look for George, for Yorgos, for Georg, because it is tagged in many, many languages. And we know how difficult it is to search for something as a string search. Then we have a very cool thing that we're trying to make work, to be honest. It will be in the next release. We have a Athena Ruby keyword, so you will be able to look to search for the diplomatic edition, and if you want, I don't know, to have to look for a seal with this type of view or with this type of fee, you will be able to do so. And again, the date slider, I want all seals from 775 to 925, and it gets automatically filtered, and you have many facets or filters. And also here, you can have as many as you want, as little as you want. The possibility is there, and it should be used. So I spoke already too long, and I will get, please, Maria, the floor is yours.
Okay, just a minute. Could you see my presentation?
Yeah.
Can you see? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. First of all, thank you very much for having me today here. And I will speak about user-friendly imaging technology called RTI, applied in Byzantine Sigillography. I've just to my display. I think it is here. Yes. Okay. This is my agenda. At first, I will speak about the selection of a suitable seal for RTI. Then I will introduce you to the RTI technology, explaining what RTI is and how to produce and view a RTI file. And finally, I will present a case study, my case study about the seal S118 of the collection Robert find here in Cologne, and of course the conclusion. Let's start with the seal itself. The seal, as I said, the seal belongs to the collection Robert find here in Cologne, and these images are taken with a customer reflex camera and good macro lens. As you can see, the seal is strongly corroded, flattened, and the only letters which I managed to read is on the reverse, on the first line, alpha, epsilon, and P. Nevertheless, the seal is a good candidate for a test with RTI because the structure of the inscription, mainly of the reverse, the structure of the inscription is still well recognizable and visible. This seal is a good candidate. Let's switch to RTI and let me introduce you to the RTI technique. RTI means reflectance transformation imaging, and it is a digital photo technique in which a sequence of photos is taken from a stationary camera position with light coming from different angles. Afterwards, with a special software, photos are combined to a single file, which is the RTI file, and contains a single digital visualization of the object. The RTI visualization allows the researcher with another spatial software to visualize to simulate light on the surface of the object coming from any direction. In this way, surface features are enhanced and delivers more information than with traditional photographic methods. This is very abstract. We will see we will see better afterwards. I would like now to speak about the advantages in using RTI. You don't need a professional equipment. You can use also the software you need are freely available in internet. You can learn it quickly, and the equipment is mobile. I would like to explain you how to create your RTI file, and later afterwards how to visualize it, the object. So in order to create an RTI file, you have to follow two main steps. Step one is capturing images, taking photographs. Step two is processing the image data. For step one, there are two main methods available, and you will choose the one or the other depending on your needs. They are called highlight RTI and dome RTI. Highlight RTI is very useful if you move around a lot, if you have to take photographs outside, and if you have a very basic equipment like, and you need at least, so basic, I mean, a digital camera, a movable flash, a tripod, and two shiny spheres, which are useful later to record the position of the light source. The spheres are here around, also visible on this picture on the side of the object. Now about the procedure. Once the camera is fixed on the tripod and calibrated, the researcher takes photographs moving with the handheld flash around the object. In this way, you will take let's say 30 photographs, each one with different highlights and shadows. So you will have your set of pictures. The second method is very good if you have a big collection to record, like a big collection of seals or coins, because it is very quickly. But you need, in this case, a special item called dome. The dome is a light-proof hemispherical structure like this one on the picture. The dome we use in Cologne to record the find collection, seals from the find collection. This dome is 50 centimeters large in diameter and contains 60 LED lights. Lights and camera are connected to a switching unit. Once the camera, the seal is inside the dome and the camera is fixed on the top of the dome, pushing a button, the lamps light up one after the other, and every time a lamp lights up, a photo is taken. In this way, you need less than 2 minutes to take 60 photographs, and each one again will have different highlights and shadows. Once you have your set of photographs, once you have this, you have to process the image data with a special software which is available on internet, freely available on internet, called RTI Builder. you will get your RTI file. Also the software does the job. Also you have just to follow the you have just to follow the instruction. Once you have your special your RTI file, now you can visualize the object with another special software called RTI Viewer. And yes, I would like now to show you how it works, how the viewer works. I have just to switch now to the viewer. So I hope, just tell me if you can see the seal. Yes, okay. This is our test. Yes, this is our test seal, the reverse visualized with a RTI viewer. And the first, I would like to say a lot of useful items, tools are here on the right side of your display. You can take a photograph here. You can zoom the object in or out, but the best is this one. You can change, moving the mouse on the green rollerball, you can change the direction of the light on the seal. And this works in combination with several modes, which are here. The best ones are diffuse gains, which enhances the differences in depth and height on the surface of the seal. So again, moving with the light and focusing maybe on the single letters. You can try to read them. Specular enhancement has a shiny, wet look. And again, you can play here with other tools. And the last one I would like to show, and this is my favorite mode, it's normals visualization, because it gives almost a three-dimensional view of the object, almost. Going back to my presentation now, sorry. Okay, again, the three different, zoom is, oh, yes. Again, the differences between the three modes I showed before, and now the difference between the seal before and after the RTI procedure. As you can see, the photo taken with a RTI viewer is much more clear and reveals more details than the photo before. We can try to read it now, and it is, yes, the obverse looks very much better than before, as cross, and then it opens with the traditional invocation Kyrie Voithi. And then on the second line, the last letter could be alpha, but could be delta. At this point, I don't know. I can't tell. So alpha, delta, or lambda. Maybe on the third line, mi. It could be eta as well, but I suppose mi. And on the last line, a he, which could go, could fit very well with a mi, and lead to the word monachos, because on the reverse, now it is very clear, it is possible to clearly to read the first word or the beginning of the first word as Archbishop. We have alpha and the small superscript he on the first line, which wasn't visible before. So I have collected now enough data, like, so it's Archbishop, the seal dates probably in the 11th century because of the superscript he, and the name of the owner begins with alpha, delta, or lambda. I can start, I can begin to search for crossing my data in more information, searching the database provided to us by Robert Find, to the collector and owner of the seal. So this is my search, and this is the results. 6 seals or 6 entries, I would say, but just one fits really to my searching criteria, and it is the seal published in the SBS 12 of Alexios Monachos and Archiepiscopos Singelos in Cyprus. This is the seal. The inscription says Kyrie voithi Alexio Monacho, Archiepiscopos Kyprou και Singelo, and as I said, published in the SBS 12 by Elena Stepanova, and comparing the seals, the 2 seals, it is clear that there are parallels. Now, at this point, I wondered if I can get more information. You know, sure, Dumbarton Oaks, the database online, but I had to change my search, and I searched the database, crossed just Archbishop and 11th century. I had over 30 entries. But one, and this one, drew my attention because of the name, sure, Alexios or Alexandros, and because of the inscription. Looking at the inscription, it was very striking to see the small, on the reverse, the small superscript he, exactly as we have seen in our seal. So, comparing the seal, the 3 seals, it was clear that we have now another parallel. So at the beginning of the test, I had just 1 seal, and it wasn't readable. And at the end of the after the RTI procedure, I had as a result 3 parallels, which yes, also my conclusion won't be it's clear now. RTI, I think it's very effective, is more effective in enhancing surface feature of a seal, of I would say of the inscription of a seal, than traditional photographic methods. And therefore it is really, I recommend to you this method in order to read inscription of seals, especially difficult inscription of seal which are damaged or desperately damaged as well. So thank you for your attention.